So, a quick note on Perashat Noach in a moment. I want to start with the word Elohim. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. So, the farcical academicians who study the Bible in accordance with what's known as a biblical criticism, they are fundamentally clueless because they're not part of the Jewish tradition. They're not part of the Torah Shebe'al Peh, meaning they don't study the Bible in accordance with the Torah Shebe'al Peh. So it would be like studying the Constitution, right? Devoid from the oral traditions of the United States, such as the Supreme Court rulings and so on. So imagine a group of Buddhist monks decided to study the U.S. Constitution based upon a handheld device that translates English into whatever they'd speak, Hindu. So we wouldn't take that seriously. We wouldn't take that seriously because they're clueless. They're clueless not because they're bad people. They're clueless because they're clueless as to the U.S. tradition of how to study the U.S. Constitution. Similarly, the biblical critics, and I know there's a lot of them in the universities, and people get very, enamored. It's farcical because these professors are clueless. They know nothing about the Torah Shebe'al Peh, and the Torah Shebe'al Peh doesn't interest them. So the word Elohim is a great example. The word Elohim is Eloah, which means one. Elohim means many, right? So what is that about? It's a great chidush from Harav Marco Mortera. My father, Alav Shalom, used to speak to me, and I just have notes, and I don't remember who Marco Mortera is, but I remember my father mentioned to me his chidush on the word Elohim. So it says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. So, of course, within our tradition, we understand that Elohim is one of the names of the single God, right? But nevertheless, the word Elohim implies a multiplicity, or one would so argue. But that's the idea of Dibera Torah Kilshon Bnei Adam. This is really important. When the Torah speaks, it speaks to us. We are human beings. So the Torah speaks to us in a language that we speak, right? So as human beings, the way Hashem conveys the Torah to us is through words. Maybe he could have done another thing, but Hashem chose words. And when the message of the Torah is conveyed through words, language has its limitations. There are certain things that cannot be described directly through language. So the Chachamim teach us, Dibera Torah Kilshon Bnei Adam. The Torah is using the language of man with its imperfections. So because language is imperfect, right? When you study Torah, you need to take these imperfections into account. It's not an imperfection in the Torah. It's an imperfection in human language. No language is perfect, right? Every language has oddities, idiosyncrasies, and there are many of these. For example, what do you call a driveway? Where you park the car is called a driveway. And where you drive is called a parkway. That's just, right, that's an idiosyncrasy of language. Why is it like that? Don't know, but it doesn't matter. Because we all understand what a driveway is and what a parkway is, right? So similarly in Hebrew, the word Elohim, it's true that language developed in a polytheistic society. So it's true the word for God implies a multiplicity of gods. But within the context of the Hebrew mind, everybody understands Elohim means the one God, right? That's important. So this is an idea of language that is fundamental. Dibera Torah Kilshon Bnei Adam. So similarly, many of the ideas in Maaseh Bereshit, Maaseh Merkava, also cannot be directly spoken because language doesn't have the ability to say things directly. So things have to be pointed out and alluded to. That's called remez, right? And that's the purpose of the Moreh Nebuchim. The purpose of the Moreh Nebuchim is to deal with those types of situations where there is an ambiguity in the word, built into the word, there's an ambiguity, and Rambam teaches us what the proper orientation of the word, what direction the word is pointing to. I think I mentioned something about that. I'm going to say something about North. It will be in a future recording.